Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Comic Schtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. My name is Blake Wild, or you may also know me as Smokey's Videos if you're watching this or listening to this from my YouTube channel. If not, and you're listening to this from some other means, check me out on YouTube at Smokey's Videos. It's all comic book stuff, really. Some movies stuff here and there. I am going to be talking today about a lot of things. I have 10 topics on this goddamn list, so it's probably going to be a long episode. The main things I'll be talking about are the two Venom films. Oh man. I haven't seen Venom since 2018 when it came out in theaters, and I hadn't seen Venom Let There Be Carnage until this past weekend, when I watched it for the very first time. I did a double feature, both Venom films in one day. I tried to do a commentary on it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't power through it. I hate them so much. Other than that, I'll be talking about some movie stuff and a little bit of comic book news here and there. But yeah, let's get right into it, right after these messages. So, this podcast is brought to you by Destructo Boy, the Era of Alpha Cardinal, Part 1 of 2. Destructo Boy is a little 5-issue limited mini-series sort of thing that I am self-publishing. I'm just going to flip through these pages right here if you haven't seen it already. This book is done, ladies and gentlemen. This is a completed comic book right here. It's about 25, 26 pages, something like that. Destructo Boy is about this little man right here. He's a robot who lives on a giant space station and fights monsters, villains, and saves the day. You know, it's just fun little stories, compressed format storytelling, no decompressed, right for the trade stuff. You're getting a one-and-done story, even in this part one of a two-part story. There is a beginning, middle, and end here. So yeah, this should be on sale soon. I'm still waiting for the printers to get this taken care of and, just get it printed out for me. And then I'll be selling it on Etsy for $9.99, plus shipping and handling. So, without further ado, now that I got my little plug out of the way, let's get right into this with the announcement of the Usagi Yojimbo show from Netflix. I'm only vaguely familiar with Usagi Yojimbo. I know it, came out around the time that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was pretty popular. They crossed over a couple of times. But other than him being a samurai rabbit ninja thing, I'm not too familiar with it. Never bothered reading it, never was interested. But looking at this, if you haven't seen it, they posted like 3 or 4 still images of the, I guess it's going to be a show itself. A show that's coming out in April, I should mention. This seems really weird because maybe I'm just not running in the right circles or something, but I have not heard a single thing about this until just this past week when they made this announcement and showed the final production of it. So anyway, it is a weird sort of it's not sort of 3D style, it is a 3D style of animation. Oops, sorry. I bumped something. But it looks like Kung Fu Panda. It doesn't look great. And people don't seem to be very happy about this. They really should have done 2D style, I feel. Or my favorite animation style in recent years, aside from Spider-Verse, was Klaus. Klaus? I can't remember how you pronounce it. That Christmas animated movie on Netflix as well. It is 3D, but the way that they rendered everything, it all looks 2D. It's fantastic. I also think that they should have used that style in the new Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie instead of the disgusting 3D proportions and whatever else they're doing in there. They should have just made it look like it was hand-drawn, because that just adds so much more charm to it. I feel the same way about this Usagi Yojimbo show. It looks cheap. It looks like... This is what it looks like, speaking of Kung Fu Panda, because I think Kung Fu Panda had this as well. It looks like there was an Usagi Yojimbo movie that came out, and it was really popular. So popular that they decided to make a spin-off show of it. But the spin-off show doesn't have the same budget as a movie. So you get this. But in reality, it's only ever been this. There's also, I don't know how true this is, I saw people online in the comments about this saying that this is apparently like Usagi Yojimbo's like relative or like descendant or something, like the grandchild of the original comic book character. So I guess they're trying to put it in the same universe, but I don't know how that is going to work out. I don't know if Usagi Yojimbo has an ending, like a definitive ending or whatever else. It just seems I don't think it's going to continue after the first season is what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be a Jurassic Park Camp Cretaceous. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be well received. It's I don't know how kid friendly Usagi Yojimbo is, but this seems like they're diving into that more kid show aspect of it. Moving right on to something that probably isn't going to be for kids. That is the Blade solo comic book series coming soon from Marvel, maybe. I don't have much about this. I just sort of wrote it down when I was flipping through Reddit. Apparently, Blade is going to have a new comic book series coming out. I wonder why. I don't know. Maybe it's probably not synergy of any kind, I can't expect. Okay, this next thing's pretty interesting, and that is the DC Round Robins bracket thingy. I guess that's what it's called. It's what the article is calling it. And actually, I need to bring this up. So the DC, it's called Round Robin, which, you either think of a song or some sort of food, but it's really, well, I don't know why it's called Round Robin. Oh, it's because they're in rounds. That's why. It is like this weird bracket thing that DC apparently did last year. I have no idea, but apparently they did. I don't remember hearing anything about this. So let's see, it's 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's 16 titles to begin with, and these are all titles that what it is it's a bracket. So 8 on one side, 8 on the other. It goes down to 4 on each side, then it goes down to 8, then 4, then 2 go head to head, and whoever wins that one gets to be published. It's weird. It's very it's a very like dystopian way of creating storytelling if you think about it in a certain light. It's basically saying, hey, instead of publishing these books and taking a chance on something new, we're going to force you all to compete to the death, and whoever wins gets to write your silly little book. I don't know. I'm going to read through all of them for anybody who's interested. If not, just switch to the next topic. I have all the time codes in the comments or in the description below if you're unaware. But so on one side of the bracket, here we go, is Hawkman and Hawkwoman the Changeling. Hawkman and Hawkwoman have never had children together. That's an odd way to start this. I haven't read this, by the way, but I assume that it's going to be something about their baby getting stolen and replaced by a changeling. They know that for a fact. Oh my god, what is this? Then who is oh my god, I feel like I'm having a stroke reading this. Let me try it again. Hawkman and Hawkwoman have never had children together. They know that for a fact. Who is Hector Hall? The way it's spelled fucks me up. It's Hektorhol, because, it has to be Thanagarian or whatever. Anyway, Hector Hall, the hot-headed razor-winged teen who claims to be their son. Can they trust their own memories? Or each other? Probably not, since Hawkman and Hawkwoman have been about 60 different people. Wildcat 9 Lives, which I initially thought was going to be about Jim Lee's Wildcats, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, DC? The logline for this is that Wildcat, if you're unaware of who Wildcat is, he's not been in much. He's mostly a Justice Society of America character. If you ever watched the Justice League Unlimited show, he was the man who dresses like a giant panther, and he's a boxer. I think he and Black Canary hang out a lot, especially in that show. They're mostly seen together. I can't remember what his comic book deal is. I don't remember the last time he's been in anything, but this is Wildcat 9 Lives. Wildcat spent 8 of his 9 lives showing the ropes to some of the DC Universe's heaviest hitters. And he's got the scarred knuckles and reset bones to prove it. But now he's only got one more life to go. How fearless would you be if you knew it was your last round in the ring? If it's up to me, I'm going to go with that Wildcat book, because Hawkman and Hawkwoman, they've been around for a while, like I said, and I don't think anybody really gives a shit about them. With how often they become new people, I don't know what is happening. The last I remember of Hawkman is it Death... Fuck. Is it Dark Knight's Metal or Death Metal? Whichever one he's in, where he's a giant fucking monster, and Scott Snyder brings back the Justice League show roster of the Justice League. That's the last thing I can think of those two characters doing. I don't know what they've been up to since. I think Hawkwoman is on the Justice League still. But yeah, I don't see that one winning. I'm going with Wildcat 9 Lives. This is what I'm doing, by the way. I'm going to go through all of these and give my synopsis and what I think. On to the next little bracket. So, the questions. Plural. The questions grand solution. What happens when people from all walks of life are activated as faceless vigilantes, each forced to solve an alternate reality game where the stakes are life and death? That's the question. But does Renee Montoya have the solution? Which it's coming across like the question verse or something. Because I don't know what is his name? I can't remember the original question's real name. I don't know what he's been up to. I think he's back. But Renee Montoya, surprisingly, has been the question for like over a decade at least. She's been the question for a long-ass time. This could be interesting. It doesn't say who the writers are, who the creative teams are. So you're just going to have to, hope that it's something good. But that is going up against Constantine and the Demon Vacation from Hell. Arcane guile meets hellish fury. John Constantine is forced to play host to Etrigan the Demon, and the pair embark on a deeply personal and potentially apocalyptic mission. Journeying back home to Liverpool, Constantine must confront ghosts from his past, and Etrigan isn't exactly his first choice of an ally. This is tough. So, Constantine is going to be imbued with the power of Etrigan. He's going to be possessed, I guess. So what happens to Etrigan's former, something Blood? Nicholas Blood? No. What is his name? I can't remember what his first name is. But it's Blood, it's something Blood. So who knows what happened to him? I don't know if they got separated or something in an event that I didn't read. But I feel like since it's Constantine versus the question, Constantine is a much more popular character. So I foresee Constantine winning, although both of these books sound very interesting, and I would like to see both of them. But that, I doubt, is ever going to happen. That's the problem with this, is that you're going to see stuff that's probably going to be pretty cool, but it's never going to get made. At least not anytime soon. So I'm going to say that it's going to be the Constantine that wins, just because people like Constantine more than they do Renee Montoya the question. Next versus is Suicide Squad Dark. A team of occult misfits and monsters assembled by Amanda Waller and led by Vampire Batman are forced into a mind-melting suicide mission to assassinate Earth 13's League of Shadows. Holy shit. I haven't read any of these. Like I said, this is the first time I'm going through them. That sounds fucking awesome. I want that. I really want that. Everybody, when this one comes up, go fucking vote for this. Or go vote for it right now. I don't know how it works. You can do it like on Twitter or the DC like Infinite Community Forum or something they have. Fuck, go vote for that one. I want that to be made. Also, is it going to be normal Amanda Waller? I don't know, because she's doing that War for Earth 3 thing, which I'm not bothering to keep up with. I'm not reading that after the first one. I wasn't into it. But Vampire Batman leading the Suicide Squad of fucking... Oh my god, they could get Clarion? Is that his name? I can never remember how you spell or pronounce his name. Clarion the Witch Boy. Who else? I'm trying to think of, like, just weird old characters that are, you know, in this sort of vein. I can't. The only ones that are coming to my mind are Cain and Abel from the old DC horror comic. They were the hosts of that. Maybe they can somehow trick them onto being in the Suicide Squad Dark. Anyway, Suicide Squad Dark goes up against Justice League Redacted? Is that what the fuck? Is that what it actually says? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the image. It's, yeah, so it's like, it's typed up like it's on a, you know, like a typewriter or something, and it just says, well, that's weird. It says justice, it's blacked out word, justice, blacked out word, black, league, black, redacted, for some reason, black. It's an odd choice. But I guess it makes sense. Since it's called Justice League Redacted, you gotta get the title in there somewhere. So, Justice League Redacted. Green Arrow has watched many heroes, the great, the good, the kind, be forever scarred by the darkness they swear to fight. Rather than sit by and let any more of his friends fall into the festering abyss, he decides to create a Justice League Black Ops team of fighters who can survive a few more shadows. Yeah. Didn't they already do this with the Justice League Elite thing? Because as far as he's concerned, they may already be lost. Green Arrow's team of Nemesis, Killer Frost, Manhunter, Metamorpho, and Cheshire are needed more than ever. Green Arrow was worried about what happens when you look into the abyss in... Green Arrow was worried about what happens when you look the abyss in the eye. That goes double when Johnny Sorrow and Merlin team up. No. No. I am good. I pass on this. Just make Suicide Squad Dark, please. Let's see. The next ones are Firestorm Fourth World Problems. Get it? When Ronnie Raymond and Jason Rush make the startling discovery that Firestorm Matrix contains a spark of the life equation, Darkseid and his army turn their sights towards the teenage nuclear heroes, but can Ronnie and Jason put their differences aside and combine into Firestorm, or will Darkseid claim the Matrix for himself and Apocalypse? I bet he won't. That goes against Kid Flash, the Speed of Fear, which I did read this one before. Reverse Flash, get this, melds with Parallax. I guess because they're both yellow? In an unprecedented combination of Speed Force and the fear-based Yellow Power Ring to create a deadly Speed Ring to shatter Oa's central Green Lantern battery. I don't know what happened to me the last half of that sentence. A confused and isolated Kid Flash, Wallace West. Is that the Black Wally? I think so, because I'm pretty sure Wally, they call Wally, they call the white guy Wally, and they call the black guy Wallace. I don't know, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't keep up with it. Must chase Thrawn across a variety of alien worlds and stop him and the Sinestro Corps while his own powers die because of Kid Flash's slow disconnection with the Speed Force. When did he get disconnected from the Speed Force? When did that happen? I don't know. The Kid Flash one definitely feels more interesting because who gives a shit about Firestorm? And I like Flash and Green Lantern far more than Firestorm. I do love the Fourth World, but I don't really care to see Darkseid get defeated again by Firestorm. Moving on. Black Canary, When Canaries Cry. When Black Canary intercepts an intelligence operative trying to deliver sensitive material on an encrypted disk, she finds herself plunged into the world of espionage to contend with an international consortium known only as Mysterium. With the help of a French spy, Dinah must stop this shadow organization from instigating war for their own profit. Oh, here we go. This is something, all right. This what it's going up against. Green Lantern, The Light at the End of Forever. Great title. A dark, far future, a galaxy gripped by tyranny, when an elderly farmer in a backwater system is brutalized by the latest thugs with jetpacks and jackboots to call themselves lawmen. He remembers a forgotten past, an era of champions, a cadre of noble peacemakers, long since vanished. His name, he's sure of it, is John Stewart. Whatever happened to the Green Lantern Corps? And is it too late to reignite the light? Just sounds like Old Man Logan, but with John Stewart Green Lantern, if I'm honest. But like I said, I love Green Lanterns, so my vote's going to this one, and I feel like everybody else's will probably as well. Sorry, Black Canary, but like, it's, oh my god, how many times is DC gonna have a mysterious intelligence agency or something trying to instigate a war, take over the world or whatever? Next one is DC Horror Presents Ghost Tour from Hell. A frantic mother begs Let me try this again. A frantic mother begs Madame Xanadu's help. Begs for Madame Xanadu's help in finding her son, last seen on a ghost tour with some friends. Xanadu's reading reveals there's a nefarious being behind the disappearances in New Orleans. Enlisting the help of the demon Etrigan and Deadman, the trio quickly realizes that they're on a ghost tour from hell, and they're no match for these supernatural kidnappers. I can already tell you this one isn't going to win. It's not going to get far. That mainly because it's going up against Animal Man, the Metamorphosis, and also because I don't think people care about Madame Xanadu or DC Horror. Buddy Baker, aka Animal Man, has serious problems. His home life is in shambles, his daughter's powers are awakening, and the world needs him, but he's stuck. He needs to change. Soon Animal Man will enter a cocoon, but when the metamorphosis is complete, what will emerge? What the fuck? Is it going to be like the Metamorphosis book? Where he turns into a giant fly? Is he going to start turning into bugs and shit? That one's interesting. That seems pretty good. Animal Man, I'm pretty sure he's been fairly well received since Grant Morrison was on him. Who was it who did it for like New 52? Was that like, oh fuck, was that Jeff Lemire? I don't remember. So yeah, I definitely see Animal Man winning this. Oh, here we go. Green Lantern, The Birth of Conspiracy. In 1947, 3 events kindled America's fascination with UFOs. The Men in Black, flying saucer sightings, and the Roswell crash. 3 low-level government employees tasked with monitoring superheroes realize that one person was at all 3 events. The Green Lantern, Alan Scott. He hasn't been seen since. All right, it lost me. I'll be honest, it did lose me. How is 1, Men in Black an event, and 2, flying saucers are also not a real event, like the Roswell crash is. What is Alan Scott at every sighting that the Men in Black and UFOs were at? It's going up against Captain Carrot and his best friend Darkseid. The interdimensional space epic that no one asked for. Darkseid is trying to eliminate the newest new god, but the extremely furious Zoo Crew, the extremely furious, parentheses, yes, we hate us too, Zoo Crew is determined to reach their long foretold Captain Carrot first, before friendship ruins everything. This one it's difficult for me to choose. Oh god, both of these sound incredible. Oh man. Again, if it was up to me, I'd have both of these things happen. But Captain Carrot has been in that Justice League Infinite Frontier team or whatever recently, so maybe his popularity's back. I don't know what Alan Scott's been up to. Was he in Doomsday Clock? Ugh. I feel like, I don't know, because how many people are taking part in this whole thing? I feel like, I don't know, I was going to say something about like the general audience knowing Green Lantern more, so they're probably going to go for him, but is a general audience for comics really going to do this? Like, do they give a shit enough to know about this? I can easily see people memeing Captain Carrot and his best friend Darkseid to victory, like they did for Zack Snyder during the Oscars. God, that is difficult. Green Lantern, Captain Carrot. I'm going to say Green Lantern wins, just because it's Green Lantern, and people probably aren't very interested in Captain Carrot because he's silly, or whatever. Alright, I think this is the end of this one, maybe? Nope, still got more. Oh wait, no we don't. Superboy, the Man of Tomorrow. Determined to find his place in a strange universe, Connor Kent... Oh. Wait. Yeah, that's... Wait, what? Slash Superboy leaves Earth behind, but his journey of self-discovery brings him face-to-face with a group of freedom fighters who challenge not just everything Connor stands for, but what it means to bear the Superman crest. Is this evil Superboy? Where did this Superboy come from? That is going up against Cyborg Cyber Gods. Cyborg has grown so powerful, he no longer needs to leave his cold metal lair. He fights the good fight, but only virtually, with cyborg replicas. When the supervillain Gizmo and, hey, Clarion the Witch Boy mix magic and tech, they become powerful technomancers. Cyborg is joined by Beast Boy, who tries to remind him of his true power, his human spirit. Cyborg must reconnect with his human side and face the world, or Gizmo will become... an omnipotent, unchallenged cyber god, and Clarion will get what he's always wanted: chaos and destruction. I feel like Cyborg's gonna win just because people don't like Superboy. I'm assuming this just because I don't... How popular is Superboy? Is this the Superboy that's in the Suicide Squad? Is that which one this is? That new Suicide Squad with the fucking Superboy in there? I don't know. So, come back and yell at me when I get these wrong, or like make fun of me for guessing incorrectly. But here's my guesses for how this is gonna work. Here's what I'm going with. Wildcat 9 Lives, Constantine and the Demon, Suicide Squad Dark, hopefully, Kid Flash and the Speed of Fear, or whatever it's called, Green Lantern, the old man Green Lantern, Animal Man, the other... Oh, man, I really wish Captain Carrot wins. I hope it wins. But I doubt Captain Carrot... Even if Captain Carrot makes it... Okay, well, Captain Carrot could beat Superboy and Cyborg. But then it would have to go against either that Green Lantern or Animal Man. And that's going to be difficult. And if Captain Carrot gets all the way, I'm going to say it's going to have to go against... let's see, it would have to be Constantine versus... Ah, man, hopefully Suicide Squad Dark, but I doubt it. Probably Kid Flash or something. So I'm going to say if Captain Carrot continues and wins this first round, I'm going to say it's going to go all the way until Animal Man, or like until the second to last bracket, in which it will face Animal Man. And then it's going to lose, because it'll probably go against something people want more from the other side of the brackets. Yeah, so there's that one, and then Cyborg's probably going to win this first initial bracket. Well, that took up some time. Go just look up, I don't know, what is this called? DC Round Robin 2022. To take a look at these yourself. You can vote for it on at the DC Comics Twitter, their Instagram, and DC Universe Infinite community. I don't know what that is. I think it's that forum thing. Not sponsored by them at all. DC or anybody from Warner Brothers, if you do want to sponsor me, let me know. I have my email in my channel description. All right, finally moving on. Let's talk about the Batman deleted scene, the Joker scene. I'm going to talk about this briefly just because I don't have much to say other than that I love it. God Almighty, is Barry Keoghan? Cohen? Maybe? His Joker is a monster. Holy fuck. and I love it. I love his Joker so much, and I hope I never have to look at him again. God, even his voice sounded very, very upsetting when compared to previous Jokers. I loved it. I love his disgusting face. His hair is falling out. His fingers are all fucked up. Very cool. It reminds me of the Gotham Joker, kind of. But what's his name? Matt Reeves has said that we aren't really going to probably be getting Joker. If we are, it might be like another scene or something in the next film or the third film, which I'm perfectly fine with. I'm just glad that we got this deleted scene, and it is just the cinematography of it, how it's filmed, the audio, sound editing is so fucking good. It's such a great scene from such a great movie. Moving on, how am I starting this? Marvel has announced a new MCU project headed by Sabir Prasada, who is the Moon Knight writer. I don't know if he wrote all of the Moon Knight or if maybe he. I don't know. I think he did. He's the writer of all episodes of Moon Knight. I don't know if he's like a showrunner or something, but he will be heading the Nova MCU. Whatever they decide to do with it. It's probably going to be a show. Because, I don't know. Well, people would say the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like Marvel and Disney are really pushing for more TV shows for Disney+. Which brings up my anger and my annoyment. Is that goddamn I wish that they would release those shows on Blu-ray. I wanna be able to look and see the case on my shelf of stuff. I want goddamn WandaVision on Blu-ray. I want Loki. I want whatever it's called, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Maybe What If. I want Hawkeye on Blu-ray. You can have like a special Christmas release for it. Have like a slipcover that's like a present or something, or like the ugly Christmas sweater. Think of all the possibilities, Disney. You're losing out on money by not having fucking this stuff on home release. So we got Nova coming to the MCU, and I think it's going to be Richard Rider, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kid Nova shows up as well. Suicide Squad to Kill the Justice League has been delayed until 2023. Gotham Knights is apparently taking up Q3 of 2022, so it doesn't really seem like much of a surprise that they'd want to space those games out, because otherwise they'd be coming out basically on top of one another. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is apparently, I think it's by Rocksteady, so it may or may not be in the Arkham universe. Doubt it. I highly doubt it, actually. But Gotham Knights is the one that looks like and seems like it's going to be in the Arkham universe, but apparently it's not. I'm not going to buy either of these. I don't really video game that much. The last two video games I've played were Death Stranding and European Truck Simulator 2 or whatever it is. Both of which are you play as delivery men. So those are the kind of games I play. I just wanted to bring that up just because, I don't know, it's comic book related news. The reviews for Morbius are coming out, and they're not good, ladies and gentlemen. They are not good. But with the news and reviews of Morbius, there also are more leaks. So if you don't want to be spoiled, bias for Morbius, skip ahead to when I'm talking about Venom. Here we go. So, the last episode I talked briefly about the Vulture post-credit scenes in Morbius. And I said that it's probably going to be the clips that we see in the trailer, because Sony are deceitful. Now it turns out people who have apparently allegedly seen this film, take this with a grain of salt as well, but I wouldn't put it past Sony to do something this fucking dumb. Vulture has been sent to the Venom/Morbius universe, because also from last week's episode, they almost immediately after I recorded that, they came out and said that, oh no, Morbius and Venom are in the same universe. So, for some reason, during the events of No Way Home, Vulture is sent to the Morbius universe, the Venorbius universe, the Venorviverse. Oh god, I'm just gonna keep adding on. So the Venorbiverse, Venorvir. God damn it, Jesus. He's sent to that universe, the shitty Sony universe, the spunk, and he is apparently sent there, and he's in the prison. But then he gets let out of the prison because they're like, you're not in our records, you came from this other universe or something, so you're let go, you're free. Clerical error. And then somehow, well, that's supposed to be the first credit sequence. Then the shitty credits play to the 30 Seconds to Mars song that Jared Leto paid for them to use. And then it's another scene, which is allegedly Morbius driving his car through the middle of the desert for some reason, heading somewhere. And he stops. I don't know, check his engine or whatever. And he sees something coming towards him on the horizon. And it's the Vulture in his homecoming Vulture suit for some reason. Apparently he's rebuilt it, even though I thought the Tinkerer made it for him. Maybe he found the Tinkerer in this universe, but he flies up. Michael Keaton never shows his face. It's just like a CGI guy with his voice coming out of him. And he talks to Morbius, and he's like, hey, you want to join my team to fight Spider-Man? I know that Michael Keaton has a lisp, so that's my accent, or that's my impression of him. But yeah, he's like, you want to join? I'm putting together a team to take down Spider-Man. And then it ends. And hope to God it doesn't get a sequel. Because, God almighty, I'm going to regret this completely, but a friend of mine and I are planning on going to see it opening night. By opening night, I mean about middle of the afternoon on Friday when it comes out. Because I'm an old man who goes to movies in the middle of the day, because there are less kids there and less people there. Oh, God. A lot of the reviews coming out are saying that it's like a early 2000s comic book movie, and it's just awful. So stay tuned for next week when I'm talking about Morbius and Moon Knight. Thankfully, something good is coming out of the week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand finale, I guess, of this episode. Over the weekend, as I mentioned, I watched Venom and Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, in preparation for Morbius in the Venorbiverse. I laugh every time I say it. Earlier what I said was a lie about how the last time I saw this movie was in theaters. That's not true, technically. I made a fan edit of this film. It's more of a proof of concept fan edit, just to see if I could make it work. I kind of did. I made a fan edit of Venom that removes the symbiote completely, and Eddie Brock just comes off across as a crazy person who hallucinates this espionage adventure that he goes on, and he's just losing his mind, and like is a conspiracy nut sort of thing, and his life's falling apart. I called it a downward spiral into a venomous existence. And, you know, it starts off with Eddie already feeling like shit, and he's down on the dumps. It flashes back. We see how he lost his job, or whatever. I can't really remember. Yeah, so I got rid of Venom completely. There's no alien. You hear the Venom voice every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just Eddie talking to himself. So yeah, that was the last time I saw Venom. God, this fucking movie. These fucking movies is what I should say. It doesn't know what it wants to be. Even more so for the second one, I feel. It gets emotional and, like, dark for, like, the first quarter of it. That's when Eddie and Annie break up, and it's like, you know, it's like a serious, like, marriage story movie, and everything, like, you know, it's sad and dark and emotional, whatever. And then Eddie's living in fucking near squalor in this shitty little apartment. He got fired. He can't get work anywhere. I don't know how he's affording this apartment. Maybe he's hooking. Then the movie becomes like a creepy horror psychological thing once Eddie gets the symbiote. Especially the scene where it's like a creepy, he's in the creepy Life Foundation building, and it's like there's a jump scare and shit, and it's all dark and red and whatever. And there's ominous music constantly, and he's like freaking out. He's like throwing up and shit, eating garbage. And then it becomes a buddy cop movie and a beat 'em up monster movie combined. And that's how it ends. It's a roller coaster. It is fucking... I don't know what is happening in this movie. Even more so in the second one. This one has like a somewhat of a basis to go off of. The second one is just shit happens constantly. Venom is like a roller coaster with ups and downs of not interest, but story beats, I guess, like what they're trying to do. Whereas Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage is just a one-way street that you do like a drag race on. As I was watching the movie, like I said, I was trying to do a commentary on it. I couldn't, so I just started taking notes. So I'm just going to read from my notes that I have on here. Don't even get me started on the weird editing transitions, especially the opening intro. I talked about it when I reviewed this movie initially back in 2018 in my Smokey at the Movies reviews series, which I stopped because it was getting too much just watching movies and having to talk about them. Oh, yeah, no, poor me. So if you want to go back and listen to my initial feelings on the movie, see if anything's changed. I don't think it has, because I bitched about this also in that video. The intro editing is so weird, and they do that one editing trick where like something passes in front of the camera and then the scene behind it changes. They do that once. For some reason, they never do it again. It's just the editor wanted to do something different that day, I guess. Is Carlton Drake a charlatan Drake? Because he acts like a dumbass. Because this movie is not written well. He is selfish, obviously, because, he's a villain. He makes a good point about humans being a blight, but... Oh, God, there's the scene, I also talked about this, I believe, in the 2018 review I did, where he and Jenny Slate's character are talking about something scientific, and then he's like, oh, you mean like this? And then he explains it in layman's terms. And it's like, oh, wow. You definitely didn't write that for the audience, did you? Jesus Christ, this guy's supposed to be a genius who did all this stuff, like, by the time he was 19, and then he has to explain something so simple. So everybody gets it. Also, during the film, he sounds like, I don't know, fucking, what is Dr. Frankenstein's hunchbacked, assistant? He sounds like him. He's like, bring me back my creature. He says it like that. Fucking everything in this movie is just gray. It's bland and gray. It's boring. It is so goddamn boring. It looks like 2016 Suicide Squad with how lack of color there is. Everything just... Oh, it's so dumb. It doesn't help, especially when you're in San Francisco. That's a pretty colorful city. In more ways than one, hey. And then it also doesn't help that the fucking character is black and gray. So you got black and gray on a boring base palette, and then you make matters even worse, the final battle of the movie, which I did find, it was more interesting. It was better than I remember. It was cool to see the symbiote weaponry get made or whatever, but it's still shitty because it's a black goop monster versus a gray goop monster in the middle of the night. God, there's so many. Oh, God, it makes me angry watching these movies. The Eddie's first fight when he gets the symbiote against those goons, it looks like it's like the Three Stooges have a symbiote or something. There's that dumbass car chase, and Eddie getting hit off the motorcycle is so goddamn funny. Going back to a downward spiral into a venomous existence, that's how I ended that movie. It's only about 58 minutes, I think, with credits. So, more like 40 minutes in total is what it comes out to. It ends with Eddie freaking out and thinking that there's, like, people coming after him. Which in the actual movie there is, but in Downward Spiral into a venomous existence, there's not. He's just losing his mind. So he escapes and has this big chase sequence where he sees these drones coming after him, and then he gets hit by a truck and dies. He lies on the ground, it fades to black, and then it comes back to Eddie and Annie talking about how Eddie's like, he's reclaimed his life, and he's a big journalist again, and he has this big interview and blah, blah, blah. So, it's like a death dream, and then the movie ends. But in this version, he gets his bones cracked into place, whatever. This is the scene where I really realized my issue of the symbiotes, which I've always really had, especially primarily for the comics, because that's all they've been in, aside from Spider-Man 3. And no one has given me a good answer. So maybe you can help. My question about symbiotes is, where the fuck do the gums and teeth come from? And the tongue. Also, if you hear my dog snoring, he's sleepy. Where the fuck? How does that work? Because in this movie, they just come out of nowhere. At first, I was like, oh, did they do something where, like, the mouth is on the inside and then it comes out? Like it's like flipping it out or something? No. These teeth literally come out of nowhere. And they do it again in the sequel, too. When Eddie punches Venom's teeth and then, like, they're all broken. And then Venom, like a Play-Doh factory, just goes and has teeth again. How does that work? Are the teeth and the tongue and the mouth, are those just pieces of the symbiote as well? Because it's just a goop monster. So why is it making teeth like this? Like, Carnage makes more sense, because the teeth just come down from the mask, or from the symbiote itself. And it's like a weird pink abyss. But even the Riot symbiote has big-ass horse teeth. So, like, how the fuck does that work? Are they always inside the body? I don't get it. I don't know how this happens. The only thing I can think of is that the symbiote just makes teeth. It makes a mouth, which, for some reason, if it's a goop suit monster, doesn't need to. Can it just crawl over something and eat it? Do they need to eat? Well, they do need to eat. But, like, if it was just a goopy thing, could it attach to my head and just eat its way through my face and into my brain? Or would it stick to my head and then teeth would shoot out and then it would start munching? How does it work? Has it ever been explained how symbiotes' mouths work? I don't think so. If it has, I haven't read it because I don't give a shit about symbiotes. Let's see. Venom, something I noticed upon this rewatch, is that Venom looks a lot cooler and a lot better as the little head that comes out and talks to Eddie. I think it's because I think the reason that it looks better when it's just coming out off of him as like the talking head puppet, I say puppet, but it's not real at all, is that it's not the full body, and it looks, when it's in that non-full body form, it looks more like liquid or oil. Whereas when it takes the full body form, he's just like a gross black, purplish, white muscle freak with white veins crawling all over his body because they couldn't use the Spider-Man logo. They should have just done the ultimate Venom suit design in this, which is, is exactly what the Venom looks... It's basically what Venom looks like when he's just a little head. It's like forming and I don't know what the right word is. Not oscillating, but like pulsating, whatever. It's just constantly moving goop, like Carnage or something. It's shiny black oil and like a big monster. They should have just done that, because that would have looked so much better. Although, you know, it would have just been a silhouette man. You could have added a little bit of definition here and there, but it just looks so gross and off-putting as what it is. Let's see, what else do I have to really talk about here? Here's something interesting I took note of, is that nobody brings up the fact that Eddie's heart and other organs have atrophied after the symbiote's removed. They talk about how his lungs or his heart or something is like dying. Did they have a solution for that when they got rid of the symbiote? What was their plan here? Because they just sort of get rid of the symbiote and then Eddie runs away. And nobody really tries to stop him. So, you know, if the Venom didn't go back to him, he would have died anyway. It's sort of like a hostage situation. Or, you know, a symbiosis. Let's see. Riot looks the exact same as Venom, but he has like a bigger horse mouth. I do like the cosmic horror aspect of this movie. Of the whole, you know, there's these disgusting goop monsters who are traveling the world, or traveling the universe. And these shitty astronauts came across him. Is one of those astronauts Jonah's son? Is it John Jameson, the Moon Wolf, Man Wolf? But yeah, they come. It's basically what was that movie? It was Ryan Reynolds was in it. It was a movie about these astronauts who find this like goop monster, and it starts killing them. And everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is actually a secret prequel to Venom." I mean, it could be if you skip out the ending part, but that was a good movie. The cosmic horror aspect, that there's just these fucking creatures that, well, they can die. I was going to say seemingly can't die, but they're seemingly indestructible for the most part, who are traveling the universe and finding worlds to just come and eat. Because that's all their mission is, apparently, is to eat people. Because Riot's like, oh, I gotta get back to space so I can tell my symbiote bros about Earth so I can eat it. That's interesting. That's a cool idea. We got the whole Venom falling in love with Eddie thing, which everybody loves. I'm not against it. I won't say I'm not for it. I don't give a shit about it, is what I'll say. It's fun, I guess, if it's, I don't know. I feel like for the most part, when it's Eddie and Venom as like the odd couple, it's played up for comedy, but I feel like you can do a lot more with that if you delved into it a little bit. Oh, maybe fucking, what's his name? Donald Cates did that in his Venom run. I don't know. I don't care. I'll be honest with you. I don't care what Venom's doing, which is something that I realized watching this movie, both movies, I should say, is that I don't like Venom in any of these things, because I feel like the Venom character that I think of when I think of Venom doesn't exist, or doesn't exist anymore, if he ever did at all. And that's Venom as a horrific creature that is a monster and a villain. And Venom fucking just took over this sad sack Eddie Brock's life and took him down an even more ruinous path than he would have already gone on, and is like corrupting his mind, making him go crazy, fucking making him eat people's brains. How does food work? I guess it's just absorbed into the symbiote. But yeah, that's what I think of Venom as, is he's a serial killer. More or less. Not like Cletus Cassidy, but he'll fucking kill some people. He'll eat people, he'll murder people. He has little regard for human life, but he still kind of feels like maybe the symbiote takes over a little more than Eddie would like or something. And Eddie just sort of gives into it. It's like more of an abusive relationship, I guess, than a happy, loving relationship, like it's been recently shown to be, kind of. So yeah, I don't think the Venom that I want ever exists or ever has existed. And that's probably why I don't like the character. Because my major disappointment with Venom Lethal Protector, if you remember from that from my video I did on it, is that he's too quippy. And Venom in this movie and the second one are way too quippy for my liking. Riot can make weapons like Carnage for some reason. I made a note here asking, how will Carnage do that? And it's never explained. The only explanation that we get from this movie is that Venom says that Riot is like super strong and a badass team leader. So I guess that means that Riot is like more experienced or older than Venom maybe, and he knows how to do this stuff. Is Venom a child? Because at the end of the movie, the very last scene is the turd in the wind thing. And like, that really made me wonder, especially with the whole Venom like being smaller and like unsure of himself sort of thing. Like, is Venom the symbiote equivalent of like a child or a teenager? Is that why Venom was a loser on his home planet? Was he the equivalent of Peter Parker? the symbiote equivalent of Peter Parker was Venom. Is that why it acts so like immaturely and weird? I don't know. I do like, however, that Annie and Eddie don't get back together in the film. They just sort of stay friends a little bit. Like, they still they bond throughout this movie. They still care about each other, but they do get past their differences and move on. But that does mostly come from Annie pitying Eddie than it does them working through things. She sort of just feels bad for him and worries about him. Woody Harrelson looks fucking ridiculous in this movie. Looks ridiculous in the second one too, but it's a little better. And he just, oh my god, he is creepy. I do like his acting in the first Venom until he says there's gonna be carnage or whatever. Up until then, he was a creepy character. He was very off-putting. They sort of do away with that in the sequel, which I will talk about right now. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Same deal. I'm just going to sort of go down this list of various notes I made and talk about them. Opening of the film, it's like this gothic, like mental asylum sort of thing. And I was like, oh, this is an interesting route to take it. Are they gonna get like darker and scarier with it since it's Carnage? Is it gonna be a little more horror inspired, or like is there gonna be like gothic architecture and shit? Is it gonna be set on Halloween? Is this gonna be like a Halloween themed thing? Which it kind of is, I think, because I don't know, because Venom goes to a rave and everybody's dressed in costumes, so that made me think it was Halloween. And there's also like a constant like lightning strikes and like rain, which I did like. I do like that ambiance of, like Halloween themed stuff. So I was interested. I was into it. Then Woody Harrelson's voiceover started. And if you haven't seen Venom, Let There Be Carnage, good for you. Don't. Because the movie opens with a flashback to like the mid-90s or something when Cletus Cassidy and Shriek are younger and they met in this asylum and they fell in love. So obviously they're going to have younger actors play them because they don't want to de-age Woody Harrelson to be like 20-year-old or something. So what they did is that they get new actors to play the younger versions. But instead of having those actors do the lines, they get Naomi Harris and Woody Harrelson to dub over these other people as the lines. So it's Woody Harrelson's voice, him doing like an impression of a younger Woody Harrelson, so it's just more high pitch. It's that voice coming out of a completely different person's mouth. And it's bad. There is a lot of ADR involving Cletus Cassidy and Woody Harrelson, and it's all bad. If you don't know what ADR is, it's when either something like audio or the line reading didn't get picked up properly. If they want to re-record something, blah, blah, blah. Big example that I saw a lot of people talking about a couple of years ago was when Logan came out. There was that clip online showing Hugh Jackman in the recording booth during the scene where Logan is sprinting through the woods in his like furious rage, and he's like shouting and he's like throwing his arms around trying to get in character. That was ADR. There's a lot of that in this movie involving Carnage and Cletus. And like I said, it's all very bad and very clearly put in after the fact. The title sequence is very cheesy. It reminded me of like a Friday the 13th, like part 6, or a Nightmare on Elm Street title sequence. So like, you know, I could get past the terrible flashback voice, and then this title sequence comes up, and I'm like, oh, that seems fun. Are they gonna do like a slasher movie sort of thing with Cletus? Oh, that'd be cool. And then they didn't. Venom and Eddie are in a rough patch. Eddie is back to being outwardly nuts, and the comedy with Venom and Eddie is just terrible. There's also this whole thing about Venom wanting brains, and he's quippy again, and he has pet chickens. Essentially, what the sequel to Venom does, Venom Let There Be Carnage, is that it ignores everything from the ending of the first film, except for the fact that Cletus Cassidy met with Eddie Brock in prison. Because like I said, Eddie Brock is back to being a weirdo who's nuts. Venom and Eddie aren't getting along like they were. Other stuff. Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy is good. I do like that casting, actually. If this was a better movie, it would have been outstanding. It would have been so much better. But what he was given in this film, he does make work. And I was very surprised by that, because I wasn't expecting to like it very much. But I do enjoy Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy. I just wish that he got to do more in this goddamn movie. This fucking film is like a goddamn TV show episode. It's an hour and a half long. It's about the same runtime as the first one, but so little happens that it just goes by. There's barely any Carnage stuff. It's PG-13, so you're not going to get anything really interesting. During Carnage's escape from the prison, it's pretty cool, because he's like killing guards and like pulling people up into the shadows and shit. Then he creates a tornado. Then Carnage, he spins so fast that he creates a tornado in the prison and busts out. What? Why? How is he able to do this? There's like a Zoolander reference for some reason. There's a whole breakup scene with Eddie and the Venom symbiote. And it's like, I don't need you, but, you know, it's like a dumb fucking, like, rom-com breakup, and the Venom's throwing Eddie's stuff out the window and telling him to get out of the apartment, which is funny, but it's in this terrible goddamn movie, so I hate it. Oh, God. I noticed that the Life Foundation building is completely gone, even though that this film takes place a year or so after the first one. We're never explained how Carnage is able to make weapons. Carnage also has like 4 extra arms that come out of his back because he has those tentacles and shit. So they wanted to make that happen. But why? Why is he able to form weapons when Venom can't? Because the only explanation we get is Venom goes, oh shit, a red one, let's leave. What does that mean? What the fuck? I thought he was red because Carnage is red and black. And in the movie, and in the comics, he is given the symbiote through blood. So I figured, oh, it's the fact that he's a combination of the symbiote, the Venom symbiote, and Eddie Brock's blood. So that's why he's... I will say this. The Carnage design is spectacular. The face could use a little work. But it looks fucking so cool. It is so gross. it is just, it's like skinned muscle coming out of him, and it, like, the arms that come out of his back each time, they explode out of him, like, through this layer of membrane, and he just looks fleshy and bloody and off-putting. It's a really cool design that was wasted completely. So yeah, I guess it's the twisted mind of Cletus Cassidy is able to corrupt the already evil symbiote. And that's how he makes the venom. That's how he makes the axes and the spikes and whatever else. Does Carnage usually have a voice that it speaks to Cletus with? I never thought it did. But like I said multiple times in this episode, I don't read a lot of stuff involving the symbiotes. I just don't care. So all of these things I'm coming into these comics and this movie with are my preconceived notions of what I assume the character's like what I thought about Venom. I always thought that Carnage didn't have a voice, like the inner monologue of the symbiote, because it's an offspring of Venom. I don't even know how that would work, because it just seems like it would be a clone of Venom in some way. So I just assumed, also because Carnage, Cletus, always refers to himself as I rather than we, so I just sort of assumed that there was nothing else going on in his head, and if there was, it was some sort of, like, amalgamation of the two. So, like, the Venom, or I'm sorry, the Carnage symbiote sort of, like, implanted itself in Cletus's brain, and, like, they both fucked each other up, so they're both terrible things. But Carnage has a voice, and they make this whole thing about how they aren't connected, and that's how Venom ends up winning, is because the Carnage symbiote wants to kill Naomi Harris's character, Shriek, and Cletus doesn't want him to, so they're fighting, and Venom and Eddie Brock use that to their advantage to defeat him. I can't even remember how they kill him. Oh yeah, they drop him, and then Venom eats Carnage. He just scoops him up, shoves him in his mouth, and eats him like a goddamn handful of spaghetti, and then Venom bites off Cletus Cassidy's head. The best villain for Venom, the only villain that really has any impact on Venom, aside from, I guess, dumbass Null, is Carnage. I guess Spider-Man, but they're not doing Spider-Man. Or are they? Because they've said that there's going to be a Spider-Man, and everybody's going to be shocked. They get rid of him in the second goddamn movie. If there's a third movie, what are they going to do? Are they just going to do the Donny Cates run? Fuck, they may as well. What else? There's the whole scene where Venom goes on his own little adventures, and he says, "I am out of the Eddie closet." And Venom's constantly killing people in this movie, because when he runs away from Eddie, he keeps taking over new hosts, but the new hosts can't handle it, so he keeps killing people. So yeah, oh god, it is just such a shitty fucking movie. There's so many scenes that take place at the rave for Venom. There's very little scenes of Carnage and Cletus doing anything, but it keeps building up to, like, this big meetup, and, like, oh, we don't want to cross paths with Cletus. Cletus is coming after us. Cletus is trying to kill me. But he's just a fucking idiot. Also, Carnage is a hacker. Carnage, in this goddamn movie, Cletus finds a laptop, and he's like, okay, do your internet thing. And Carnage comes out of his hands and goes into the laptop, and for some reason, Carnage can make his own operating system. And he has access to all these police records and redacted files and so much stuff. Like, what the fuck is happening? What is this movie? It's all the worst parts of what the Nightmare on Elm Street films became, which is the silly ridiculousness of it, but with the symbiote. It's just, God, it's so bad. It is such a waste. I don't know, Andy Serkis, I don't know, he directed this movie. God, I just hate it so much. It's so bad. It is bad. It's a bad movie. It's a bad sequel to a bad first movie. It would have been interesting if Eddie Brock... This is just like a little one-off thing. This has nothing to do with what I just talked about. It would have been interesting if Eddie wore colors other than black, white, and gray when Venom was gone. Because in the comic books, I don't think they do this in the film. In the comics, the symbiote can just make clothes out of itself. So oftentimes you'll see Eddie Brock, but he's wearing some sort of black clothing, and that's because it's the symbiote. So it would have been cool if, to show that the symbiote was no longer there, is to show that Eddie Brock is wearing like a red shirt or like a Hawaiian shirt or something else, a blue shirt, whatever, a color that wasn't black, white, or gray. But he just wears, that's his whole costume wardrobe throughout this movie, is those three colors, even when he doesn't have the symbiote. It just would have been a nice little touch, but obviously you're not going to get that from a Venom movie because they're not thinking that much about it. It takes so long to get the plot going. It's like 40 minutes in, and Carnage is finally freed, and 50 minutes in, Venom is still going off on raves and whatever, and Eddie's alone trying to solve the mystery of Cletus Cassidy on his own. And then, like, the last 20 minutes is when Venom and Carnage finally fucking meet. And then they fight in this dumbass church, and it's, oh god, I hate it so much. Also, there was this whole scene of Annie flirting with Venom to get Venom to come help her save Eddie and defeat Carnage. She's like, oh, you're such a big, strong, sexy alien. What the fuck? I can't handle this, if you can't tell. I hate this movie with every fiber of my symbiotic being. It is so fucking awful. Eddie's apology, I do like this part, is that Venom wants an apology from Eddie. Because they get into the fight and everything. And so Venom is in Annie at this point. She takes Venom over, or Venom takes her over to, and then she takes him to Eddie. And Venom's like, I want an apology before I help Eddie. But the apology that Eddie gives kind of works for both Annie and Venom, which they really should have played up more, because I know that they sort of resolved it at the end of the first film, but clearly we've seen that barely anything from the first film matters. So they should have just had, like, some issues with Annie and Eddie, maybe still, and that way they could have done this whole... Eddie is apologizing to both of them at the same time, because he has to look in Annie's eyes when he's apologizing to Venom. So they should have played up that emotional, relationship connection aspect of it more. But they didn't, because it's a Venom movie, and they just don't give a shit. It's so dumb. The symbiotes are also a lot bigger. There's more goop to them for some reason. Like, Carnage encapsulates an entire church. He, like, wraps symbiotic goop around the whole place. And he's so much bigger than Venom for some reason, even though he started off as a little bit of blood that Cletus swallowed because he bites Eddie's hand. How does that work? Why does that work? Is that just something they're retconning? Why is Carnage a red one? I already talked about this. I thought it was because of the blood and whatever, but it's clear. Apparently it's not, because Venom is like, oh no, he's a red one. There's a scene at the end where they both say, we are the Lethal Protector, because there's this whole running joke about how Venom wants to be called the Lethal Protector, and Eddie thinks it's dumb. And Venom eats Carnage, and I forgot to mention, there is a character in this movie, Detective Something Mulligan, who in the comics becomes Toxin, the offspring of Carnage, I think. He's in this movie, and he gets hanged by Shriek at the church fight, because he gets kidnapped as well alongside Annie. And so she kills him. he dies. And then we see him get hanged, and he dies. And then the scene cuts to it's the whole symbiote fight, blah, blah, blah. Carnage tries to kill Shriek because he wants to kill people for some reason. You can only assume that he does so because Shriek's psionic powers, which she is apparently a mutant in this universe. They sort of play it a little gray as to what she is, but they talk about her mutation getting worse. So she's a mutant, like she is in the comics, but they somehow got away with it. Mulligan. Back to Mulligan. They kill him. Carnage tries to kill Shriek. Venom and Eddie take advantage of this. They fight. They use the giant bell to fuck up Carnage. Then Carnage is defeated, and everybody runs off into the sunset. Happy ending. But as this scene ends, as Eddie and Venom leave one way, and Annie and her husband, fiance, Dan, I think, leave the other before the police finally show up, there's just a quick cut to Detective Mulligan lying dead on some scaffolding. And his eyes shoot open, and they're glowing blue. For some reason. Why? Because I'm pretty sure Venom's toxin symbiote doesn't do that. No one else has exhibited different colored eyes. Not Cletus, not Eddie. So I don't think it has something to do with the toxin symbiote. Unless it does. Why are they blue? Does he have some other power I'm not familiar with? Because all I know about him is that he becomes toxin. So maybe. Or did he just do a lot of... was he just doing a lot of spice? Was he a spice guy, like in Dune? And then the movie ends with Venom and Eddie on like a resort in like Central America somewhere. And they're staying there. And then they get teleported to the MCU, and then they get teleported back. I do like that the Venom symbiote is a multiversal hive mind. That is such a cool idea. That is such a cool aspect. That is the coolest thing to come out of this franchise of films, is that this Venom symbiote has the same memories as the Venom symbiote from Spider-Man 3, as the Venom symbiote from the Spider-Man 3 video game, as the same symbiote as the Spectacular Spider-Man show, the cartoon show, and that one would have to have the same memories and hive mind capabilities as the Venom symbiote from the 90s show, and that would mean that it has to have the same, ideas as the symbiote from the mainstream comics. What that unravels and what that could be used for is really cool, and I really dig that idea. I love the multiversal theories and ideas. I'm really into that shit, but I doubt they're ever going to do anything with it. Maybe in Venom 3, if they do something with Null or the Planet of the Symbiotes, they'll bring that into the play somehow. If they're going to introduce Spider-Man like Sony keeps threatening to do, maybe they'll do something with that. But that is a really cool idea, is that Venom has access through a multiversal hive mind to all the other Venoms. And I just really dig that. Also, I realized after watching this movie that Venom, I doubt this is what they were going for, but Venom is like afraid, and he gets his ass kicked a lot by Carnage. Is that because Venom is weaker because Venom hasn't been eating brains? In the first film, he eats brains a couple times. As we know, Venom loves eating brains. He has the whole action figure to prove it. But is he weak and unable to fight because Eddie won't let him eat brains anymore? I feel like that could be a very easy reason why Venom gets his shit kicked in this movie. But yeah, those are all the notes I had on the Venom movies. I hope that was in some coherence. Let me know what you thought of Venom, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I got for today, I guess. I greatly regret watching those movies. I hope it provided you with some entertainment. I hope it provided you with something to talk about in the comments below. If you're listening to this, again, check out my YouTube channel, Smokey's Videos. I cover comic books. I talk about movies occasionally. I need to get back into the Fast and the Furious. I'm sorry, the Fast and the Fermented, my Fast and the Furious drinking game series. I need to redo that because the second episode got all fucked up and I've just been putting it off since then. As always, stay tuned for more news on Destructo Boy, the Era of Alpha Cardinal, a completed book. It's going to be 5 issues. The first 4 issues are made up of two-parters, part 1, part 2, part 1, part 2, and then the last issue is going to be just a one longer story. It's going to be about 30-something pages longer. These ones are about 22 to 25 pages, so, it's a little longer. I don't know. Follow me on Instagram, at NotBlakeWild and at Smokey'sVideos, if you are interested. I'll be posting news on there. I post some of my art on there. I post when new videos are up on there. Let me know if you have any comments below. As always, leave suggestions on topics and what episodes, or topics for episodes in the future. And I think that's all I have to talk about today. I guess I'll see you all next week when I talk about Moon Knight, Morbius, and probably some more Ann Nocenti Daredevil. I will see you then. Y'all have a nice week. Bye.